Imagine a place where the natural beauty hides a dark secret. Maine's child welfare system is failing. Maine ranks fourth in the nation for the highest percentage of maltreated children. It also holds the fifth highest share of children in foster care. The state's Office of Child and Family Services is under intense scrutiny for failing to protect its most vulnerable. A shocking federal audit revealed violations in 94 out of 100 reviewed cases. Child fatalities under DHHS oversight have quadrupled from 7 in 2007 to 28 in 2022. This includes causes like unsafe sleep and even murder. Despite a $250,000 audit, systemic failures persist, including poor training and unmanageable caseloads. The government's response has been criticized as too little, too late. Our children deserve better. Join us as we uncover the truth behind Maine's crumbling child protective services. Subscribe to Maine Matters and make a difference.
In the shadows of Maine, it's a ruthless race. Corruption creeps with a smirking face. Families breaking for money's game. Innocents lost while they shift the blame. Leave the kids, let them run free. They ain't your cash, they're not your key. Mills needs boots, kicking a throne. No more DHS, leave kids alone. Behind closed doors, deals are made. Hearts go hollow, lives betrayed. They call it hell, but it's a lie. Stealing smiles as the good folks cry. Leave the kids, let them run free. They ain't your cash, they're not your key. Mills needs boots, kicking her throne. No more DHS, leave kids alone. I'm the wind that howls through the trees. CPS, Punisher calling out the thieves. They play God, but the game's all wrong. I'll rip their lies with the steel spun song. Families do nothing, they sleep on nails. While greed sails high on corrupted sails. Knock down the tower, brick by brick. Truth's my weapon, no magic trick.
I'm, just your average parent trying to do right by my kids. Never thought I'd have to, deal with something like this. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. The kids' toys were scattered everywhere. Then there was a knock at the door. My heart sank when I saw who it was.
Hello, I'm from Child Protective Services. We've received a report and need to inspect your home.
I didn't know what to do. They wanted to come in, look around, talk to my kids. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was doing something wrong even though I knew I wasn't. But then, I remembered something I'd read online about knowing your rights. I took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, but unless you have a warrant, I can't let you in." The CPS worker looked surprised. They weren't used to parents knowing their rights. It wasn't easy, but I stood my ground. I protected my family's privacy that day. Remember, when CPS knocks, know your rights. It can make all the difference.
All right, everybody. Welcome to this fine Saturday afternoon for Maine Matters. I am your host, the CPS Punisher, and as usual, we have the chats over here on the right. This little beachy area above our head is going to go away, and we're going to talk about some what's going on here in Maine. Once I can close this off here, I can't see the little damn things zooming in and out. Once we're going to talk about a little bit of Maine. You know, they say Maine is a place of quiet beauty, of resilience etched into the rocky coastline and whispered in the pines. And it is. I've seen it. I've felt it. But beneath the serene surface, sometimes the quiet can be defeating, especially when it's the silence of children who are supposed to be safe but aren't. We trust the systems built to catch us when we fall, to protect the most vulnerable among us. And there is perhaps no trust more sacred than the one we place in those who are meant to shield our children from harm. Child Protective Services. The very name carries a weight of responsibility, a promise of safety, except for it's also called the Division of Family Services. But what happens when that promise is broken? What happens when the hand meant to lift a child up instead pushes them down? What happens when the system designed to protect becomes a source of fear, of injustice, of profound and lasting damage? Here in Maine, whispers have turned to muffles, and murmurs are growing into a chorus of concern. Stories are emerging, fragmented and often heartbreaking, of a system that some say is failing, spectacularly. Allegations of missteps, of bias, of families fractured without cause, of voices silenced. This isn't easy to talk about. It's uncomfortable. It challenges our faith in the institutions we rely on. But silence in the face of potential harm is a complicity we can no longer afford. So tonight, or this morning, or afternoon, whatever part of today it is, we begin to break the silence. We begin to ask the difficult questions. We begin to look beneath the surface of the Pine Tree State and examine the shadows that some say are growing within every system meant to bring light. This isn't about accusations. It's about accountability. It's about the truth. And most importantly, it's about the children of Maine, and their stories deserve to be heard. So, that being said, guys, let's turn some tunes on here. You just bear with me here. What's up, everybody? How are we? Yes. Athena, what time is it over there in Alaska? I'm having a technical difficulty day, guys. My little screen is zoomed out on me, and I don't know how to adjust this. So I'm having a hard time hitting the mark. Yeah, so, we are here from Maine. As you know, Vinny's away right now. So we'll be thinking about him today when we're doing the Maine Matters show. Because he was, just a bigger part of this. Is oh my God, now it's very small. He was a big part of this show, and we definitely miss him here. But the show must go on, and I'll let Vinny know that everybody's out there thinking about him. So we've addressed that now. But Maine leads the country in most abuse and neglect in the United States. Out of all 50 states, Maine leads it. We have a rogue governor that's out there screaming at the president at the governor's dinner. This is oh, very nice, very nice. Tina's having breakfast. Of course, I hope she brought enough to share with everybody. I don't know if she did or not, but Alaskan breakfast. So that's like eggs and reindeer sausage, right, or something like that. Some king salmon. I don't even remember what I was saying. But today, guys, I have with me in my studio, I have a guest. It's a friend of mine. We won't pull her name out there because we don't want to do that. She doesn't want her name out there either. But she, too, had an issue with Child Protective Services in the state of Maine. And her story's the same as all of us. I mean, it's just she had everything in the world that she needed to be a great mom and, love and life and all this stuff. And Child Protective Services came right in and just destroyed the whole damn thing. So we're going to hear a little bit about her story. Do you guys have any questions before we go breaking into this? Anybody? Throw them up on the chat if you guys got them, and then we'll. Oh, very nice, Dina. Probably parked on some sort of nice fjord or something, some glacier that was just blowing up or falling away. Oh, Alaska's gorgeous. If you ever get a chance to go, you guys got to go. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so I don't know. Do you want to go on the camera, or do you want to just talk? And because they can hear you.
All right, I'll
Finally.
speak.
All right. I'm pretty positive that they can just hear you. Yeah. If you guys can't hear her, then just let me know. But you should be able to, because this mic's pretty darn good. But let's just make sure no one has any questions, and then we'll hit it. Hey, were you guys able to catch the past 2 nights of CPS Victims Hunting Justice? There was a great speech that we put on there. You have to catch this lady's name. I've seen it a couple of times, so I just don't write it down, and I've got to catch it with my brain to remember it. But you guys should definitely check out the past 2 nights CPS Victims Hunting Justice, because that 12-minute speech that woman does on foster care, and maybe today, if I have time, we'll play it here at the end too, because it's definitely a worthy listen. It's pretty damn amazing, actually, and it'll definitely put your mind in the mind. It'll put you in the frame set of hope instead of where all of us seem to be in this little nothing land that we're all in. Oh my God, they took my stuff out. Oh no, it's hidden behind here. I can't get to my music. You son of a biscuit. Huh. Well, this is just a dagger. Oh, very nice. A frozen lake with a family of 4 swans just returned wintering from down south. Probably come right up by my house. Well, I don't know what we do about that, but we'll go to Epic. We'll try Epic. See how that works. I might get a little aggressive. Let's try love. All right, everybody. Well, this is my friend, we'll call her MW. Yeah, I don't think that this is going to work. Oh, there we go. I don't know where my atmosphere music is. I have no idea where my music is here. Wow, this sucks. Oh, all right. All right, guys. So we're here with my friend MW, and she too is from Maine, and she was a mother with a boy and a girl, right?
Yep.
All right. The green light came on, so that means that we can hear you. So perfect. And how old were your children's?
At the time that they were taken, they were 9 and 10.
9 and 10. 9 and 10 years old. That CPS is. Did you ever have a problem with CPS? Like up to this point, you were just kind of skating through life, right? Doing your thing, and
Yeah, we had been doing pretty good. We had just moved up here to purchase a house in Maine, and we had, I don't know, probably been in our house for about 9 months at the time that everything started.
you were actually fostering another child, were you not? Before this?
Yes. When I lived in New Hampshire, I used to drive a taxi, and a young woman that was, she was really bad into using drugs, and she used to leave her child with me. And she ended up leaving her son with me and going down to Florida. She was selling herself, and she left her child with me, and I found out that the state was involved in looking for her, and that was my first experience with CPS.
So you finished the state ended up taking, or the father took the foster kid from you, right? Is
Yeah,
that what happened?
I signed the rights back over to him.
So that was like a good reunification story, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So then, but how does CPS come along?
So CPS came involved in our lives because I had problems with drugs when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and I had just had like 11 years of sobriety, and I came off methadone and it didn't go well, and I had relapsed and was using again, not constant, but I had a couple slips, and so I shared it with my significant other, and he thought, I don't know, he thought by calling the authorities that like, or calling Berwick PD, that they would help me or put me in treatment, and he didn't know what to do because he had no experience with anything like this. So like he reached out for help, and we got exactly the opposite of that. So
Which is what happens to everybody. You know how many stories we have that people call out to get help, and then CPS comes and they take their kids, they arrest the parents, they separate the parents, they do all kinds of things, and that's like a standard CPS thing. Like, how is it that an organization that gets money for supporting other people to help them to get through their issues so that they can be a promising family, call for help, and then here they come and they do it under the threats of, let me guess, removing your child, right?
correct.
So what happens after they come? Berwick PD comes over. What happens after the initial phone call, and who comes and does what?
So in the beginning, they had convinced him to like almost turn against me and told him to get a protection order against me. And even though there was like no violence or anything like that, he went and got the order, and so I wasn't allowed to be at the house and had to have permission to be around the children after that.
So you're the mom. You ask for help. They throw you out of your house. Now you're without man and children. No place to really go, right?
Correct.
Like, you have to find a place to live, and all your guys' money is tied up in this brand new house that you just bought, right? So then they try to make you guys split up, I'm sure, right? There's all kinds of, and then what about, did you have any family? Did you have any family up here? Or did he have any family? Like, did they turn the families against anybody?
My mom, we had just got done moving her up here she was in South Carolina. And so about 5 months into moving into the new house, we drove down there and went and got her and all of her belongings and had moved her into our home.
Mm-hmm. So there's that part. But you're away, and what happens now? You're away. You're just kind of out there trying to figure out what you got to do.
Right.
Did you contact? Were you able to contact your kids freely? I mean, did you have access to them, or did you not, or what was
In the
going on there?
beginning, not so much, but I mean, I think in the beginning he kind of realized instantly like he had made a mistake, and so he would call me, and I was pretty much like sneaking over to the house to be able to see my kids.
I'm sure everybody knows that one.
And
for sure.
So there were several times where I was caught leaving the house by Berwick PD and arrested. And even though the person that put the order on me was, giving me permission to be out there to see my kids, it didn't matter.
So the police literally would stalk you out.
Yeah, and we tried removing the order, and they would not remove it. So this went on for about 10 months. I was at one point arrested once, I think it was once a week for 9 weeks straight.
That's crazy.
It got to the point where the judge could just see it for what it is, and I'd be held without bail, go in front of a judge, and she would release me every time because it was just the same thing every time, revolving cycle.
Harassment.
Right.
Harassment by small town cops that have nothing more to do than sit there and stalk you out in front of your house during a bad situation. Jesus, every point of my pens. During a bad situation that you're trying to figure out and escape your life by. Your kids don't want you to be out of the house. Your kids want you to be home with them. I'm sure, because they're at that prime age of learning and everything. So you're having to sneak into your house and all of that. And here's the policeman sitting out in the bushes pretty much looking for you to come in. Like, what would they do? Like park their cars down the street from your house or something?
Yeah, there was kind of it was privately owned by our neighbors, but they would still sit like right across the street on their property and just watch the comings and goings. And I got in trouble for the no contact order, so that put me on bail conditions, which at this point would give them the right to pull me over at any point in time they see me driving through town. I had my own home health care business, and I actually lost 3 clients because they would pull me over on the way to work or at a gas station and corner me in to do a random search, and they would literally take sometimes up to 2 hours purposely just to keep me there.
I know that well, the Berwick police and their 2-hour mumbo jumbo. They literally, folks, these people hearing this, they will stop you at the gas station. I've been stopped at the gas station. I was stopped at an ATM one time, and my wife would worry about me because all of a sudden I went down to go get something from the store, and I'd be back 2.5 hours later because they would sit there and literally stop me at every point that they could get to. So I know very well that what she's saying right now is true, and I can understand how someone could be arrested every 1 day a week for 9 weeks straight. I mean, it just is very simple. When these people have their sights on you, they have your sights on you. Period. End of story. There's nothing you're going to do to get or avoid a small town cop that's gunning for you, that wants to take you out and make you suffer. There's no doubt about it. So what happens now? Like, let's go to you guys, did they set up a safety plan? Did you guys have any of that stuff? Did you have to do any of that stuff? I guess, you know what I mean? Like, as far as safety plan, they come up, the CPS come up with like a document that said, all right, you guys are going to do this, this, and this in lieu of getting your kid back in X amount of times.
There was like a safety plan put out there, like, because I told them like when I was relapsing, like it wasn't happening at home or in front of the kids, like, you know, it was outside of the home. And so there was a safety plan put in place that just pretty much said to make sure I wasn't using or under the influence around my kids, and nothing like that would be in the house. Pretty basic.
So when did the threat become real that they were going to take your kids for, like, when did that become like a reality that you're like, holy shit, they're really going to take my kids?
Well, my mom lived in the house there with us, and they had started speaking to my mom about alternative solutions where if we weren't allowed to keep the children, if they could be placed with her. And so right then and there, I don't know. I had a bad upbringing with my mom, and I just know, like, she has a lot of mental health issues that she doesn't deal with. And I kind of just felt like, I just kind of feel like this has to be a real thing for them to even be considering doing this or speaking to her regarding it.
So they come in and then they start talking to your mom, and then what are they going to do with the dad? Because he's going to have to leave the house now too, or what's going on there with that?
They were going to be allowed to like stay in the house, and then I would have to have supervised visits by either my mother or him while in the household, because the no contact was still in order. Correct.
So he could stay. All right. So this goes on for a little while, and then what happens? What changes everything? What makes everything go south?
So it was during one of my last arrests, again for the no contact order, because I was once again found out at the house with my kids. And while I was it was like a holiday weekend, so I was stuck there for I think 7 days up until I could see a judge. And my mom had delivered me paperwork for emergency guardianship while I was in the jail, asking to take guardianship, and I think it was good for up to 6 months.
Okay, yep. That's typically what they're...
Because at this point, I was looking to go into treatment, so they figured it would be 1 to 6 months. So
Yeah, I think that's the standard of those is 6 months, even if it's in the criminal aspect. But all right, so and then
Um, so at this point in time, my mom, I mean, I signed the paperwork. Here I am sitting in jail. I felt like I wasn't in a position to fight or do otherwise, and I figured at least he'll be with family, you know. And I knew it would put my mom under a lot of stress, but at the time, I'm just thinking, I'm going to go into treatment. It's not a long period of time, you know. I'll still be involved, you know. She had the house, there was plenty of food, she had everything she needed, so I signed over my rights to her.
But was that enough to keep them? Like, was that a legal document? Was that enough to keep CPS backing off? Did it keep them away from you for a little while, or how does that work? I mean, I hear a lot of people talk about doing that, but I don't know very many who have.
Yeah,
so,
there
like,
was no
how did that work?
word, and they didn't say anything about like the case closing or anything. So at that point, I still figured that they would be involved.
So even though you changed the guardianship, they still kept their necks in there.
Yeah.
Now, what happened? How long did this go on that they went with your mother? And are you still in jail at this time now? Or where
No,
are you now?
I was released from jail, and at this point in time, I think I had been out for about 2 weeks, and I was trying to get into a couple detoxes, and then from there go into at least a 20-day program. And my mom, I found it. Well, I didn't find out the day of, but she had called the state and said that she couldn't handle all the responsibility of the kids, and because my significant other at the time, he's, you know, he owned his own construction business, so he's working 6 to maybe 7 days a week, and he's not there most of the time. My mom said she couldn't handle the responsibility. It was too much.
And you knew this was going to come, right? Like, you had a sneaking suspicion that this was going to be an outcome from your mother?
Yeah, because she's always, and just from my upbringing, she's very manic. So it's like 1 minute she's very high up and all about it, and then the next minute she can't handle it. So
yeah, it's just such an awful thing, you know. Like, it's just because people can't help it either, you know. Like, they can't. It's a real thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. So they give away the kids, they give away your children to, or your mother gives away the guardianship, right?
The worst part there is I was actually at a supervised visit, and CPS, I didn't know this at the time, but at the end of the visit, CPS was picking up my kids and removing them, and so nobody said a word to me and let me have my visit, and I left there. God. And about 10 minutes after, they were picked up.
Holy shit. Wow. Did they come with police?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Because it had all been, you know, my mom had talked to them, and they figured I wasn't going to be in the household. But it's important to know that Dave isn't the biological father of either of my children, that we had just been together for a good part of their childhood. But he is not the father of my children.
So now they're in the system. Where do they go?
My daughter, right away, I said she's going to end up in a hospital. My daughter has a lot of behavioral problems, and the state was quick to try to say that, you know, oh, she has these issues because of a broken home, or no, she had a lot of she had brain swelling at birth. She was cut off from oxygen. They still don't know what caused it, and so a lot of times they just think developmental, but she had a lot of behavioral problems from as little as I can remember. From she had problems in just about every daycare to. So I ended up putting her in a private school where there was just 2 to 3 kids in a classroom, and we had just marked like a 1 year point where she had no behavioral problems and she had been doing great. But it just took like a very strict schedule, and it took me years to get into a program that worked for
Routine
her.
and- yeah.
So when they removed her out of the home, she couldn't handle it, and they put her in a children's hospital,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be short term. And
And how old was she at this time now?
she's 10, and they left her there she was there for over a year.
At the children's hospital?
Yeah. Yep. COVID hit, and they kept claiming that they didn't have anywhere to place her, and that they felt she would only do good in another home where there was no other foster children, and that there was a couple that could just give their undevoted attention to her. And they said that they didn't have anything like that available in the state.
Nothing like that. In the
Yeah.
Pine Tree State, there's no resources like that help you. Wow. Now, what about your son? Now, where was he when this was all going on?
So he ended up in a couple different homes right
Just
away,
bouncing around
just
from
bouncing
foster homes?
around. And at this point, I'm like COVID's hitting, and so I'm just able to do. I remember like COVID had just started, and I had contacted the state worker because I was going to try to make it up to go see my daughter in the hospital, which was about 6 hours north. It was way up north there. And so I was asking them for help with like resources. I'm like, because I figured I'd have to stay up there for the night. It was a long drive. And they told me that we don't assist with that sort of thing. And so then it was like 3 days later that they put the bans on everything from, visits to being able to see the kids. And so at this time I'm just doing video visits with both of my children until my son, he went into a home, and I have tons of friends that are, gay or bisexual. None of that bothers me, but they had put them in a home with a gay couple. It was, they lived in just an hour north of here. And as soon as my son went there, it was like they stopped all visits. My mom wasn't getting calls. I wasn't getting calls. And he had been there on like going into the second month, maybe halfway through the month, and he still wasn't registered in school either. And so I contacted the worker, and I said, I feel like something's going on in the home, that they're shutting him off from like everybody out, outside of the home. Like nobody's heard from him. And they pulled some emergency thing and like removed him out of that home within like 24 hours. And like, I just feel like I'll never know if anything happened. Like,
Such a freaking awful feeling. So he goes from there to another home?
yep. And then at this point, my mom is getting ready to transition back. She wanted to go back down to Florida, North Carolina. She bounced between those two states. And so the state they were going to keep my daughter up here in the hospital, but send my son down to Florida to be with my mom. And I said, I don't think that's a really good idea. She couldn't handle the stress the first time, which is the outcome of most of this. I don't think it's a good idea. As much as I wanted him to be with family, I could just foresee what was going to happen. And he went out there for a couple months, and she said he was having some behavioral issues, which,
how could you not?
Which it caught me by surprise, but like at the same point, like he's been through a lot, so I have to, but it was just stupid things like,
punches, right?
Yeah, like I guess he stole a necklace, and like, he was.
But he didn't develop these things until he went to a state-run program.
Right.
When they put him in a boarding house or put him in a place that he clearly didn't want to be. Clearly, he most likely wanted to go home to his parents and his family. Just from what you're telling us, he was bored, he was lethargic, he didn't want to do much. I mean, I've seen him since he's been in his new bivouac, and like he's just, you can see that it's just
Yeah, like I was saying, the last teacher parent conference I had gone to, she was telling me how wonderful he was, like one of the best students she had. He helped out other kids in the classroom if they weren't understanding something. The only only issue I ever had with them at home was video games, having to put limits on video games, you know,
Right.
like, so like, I don't know, some of the behavioral issues did catch me by surprise, but, at the same time, like, I really don't know what he's been, I can imagine, but I don't know everything he's been
That-
through, you know, like,
That's the hard part. You don't know what their kid, and you know what? I don't even know if you want to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm kind of at. Like, I don't want to even hear. I get scared when I see like an email message come. You know, like, oh, what is it going to say? What is it going to be? What is it? You know what I mean? Like, you just, once you get your hair raised by these people once, you're never able to go back to that comfortability of not having that happen. You know, so. And it's such a horrid thing. You don't even want to look to read what it says that you could do to fix anything, or you don't want to read what it says that they're going to take them from you or whatever. You just don't want to do it because you don't want to see what's on the other side of that paper. And I think that's typical of any person. You know, on the other side of that paper, it's something freaking bad, and they're going to go ahead and execute that with all due diligence on their job. And it's a suck thing because you know damn well that there's no reason for them to want to take your kids. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yes, there was a reason for them to take your kids. They wanted to take your kids because you were a family. You were a mom and dad in a stable home setting. So they don't like that, number one. So let's get in there and split you guys apart for that. And then let's get some sort of domestic violence going, which they did. It sounds like that they try to get that stuff going and getting people to say that you're some sort of clear whatever. And they're doing all of these things. So
I just want to back up to, like, so I remember they had appointed like a guardian ad litem, like in the very beginning. And one of the first, I think the second hearing we had been to, she hadn't met with me yet. I was working at the time, and so my schedule was a little hectic, but she definitely did not go out of her way to try to, you know, make time to meet with me, I should say. And so she had based a decision without meeting me. And when I saw her in court, I told her, I said, I'm asking for a new guardian ad litem. I said, that is your whole job, is to meet with both parties and be mutual. And I'm like, how can you base a decision without meeting me? And she's like, well, I just based my decision off the reports. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm asking for a new guardian ad litem. And not in the courtroom, but right outside, like right in front of everybody. But of course, nobody else is paying attention. This woman tells me that her exact words were, if I have her removed off my case, she will make sure that the next guardian ad litem appointed to my children will remove my kids and I will never see them again.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like looking around for someone else to, like, you know, that hears this. And like, of course, there's a million things going, you know, around. There's other hearings going on, and like nobody heard, but like she had no problem voicing this, like right out in the open.
Yep.
And like right then and there, I knew I was railroaded.
Right.
Like I felt like no matter what I did, like
Right. Man. So it's kind of weird because backing up is right. How did they gain access to your kids?
So originally, because of no contact order and my arrest, so Berwick PD had called them to come out to the house because of, you know, they said it wasn't good for the kids with the constant arrest of, you know, I guess of me just being out there to see my kids.
Right.
So they got the state involved, and at first when they came out, they did interviews with my kids, and they wanted to do them privately. And I said, the way my house was set up, I could sit where my kids couldn't see me, so they wouldn't know I was there, but I could listen in, and that's what I wanted to do. I didn't feel comfortable any other way. And the interviews went great. And then I find out that like a week later, they found a reason to go out to the school and interview them. And then I was told that the kids were saying that there was constant like arguing and fighting at the house. And yeah, so it was like the first interview where because the kids couldn't see me. So they're giving these interviews just thinking that they're talking to her.
Right.
You know, And it was like the second that I wasn't there and they went out to the school, it's like all these accusations were made, but I was never given, like, I asked for like audio recordings of the interviews and things like that, and I never got any of that.
Right. Yes. When do your kids realize that they're not going to be able to come home immediately?
From what my daughter told me, it's like they were kind of just given like a 5-minute prep talk, like 5 minutes before they were removed. So they really had no idea. Like
So they just thought that they were going to be, and this is you speculating what you think, but this is just okay, so when you talk to them with that stuff, what were they thinking? What were their thoughts? What did they think was going on? I mean, they had to know something because they were like 9 and 10. So to do a certain degree, they kind of knew something was up. But what was all of their comments? What was their thoughts and their thought process going on? Do you know?
just total confusion. Like,
And were they being told that you guys were the bad people, or was there stories surrounding what was going on there that you know of?
yeah, I mean, there have been a couple foster homes where they were at where I feel like they have done everything in their power to try to,
Get you out of there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I was sober during most of my, like, pretty much all their lives up to this point. I had just reached.
And you said you were what, 11 years?
Yeah.
Jesus almighty.
Yeah. When I first went out, I was pregnant. That was it, and I had stopped.
Wow.
And so, like, my children did have a good upbringing, and so, like, I feel like that's only the good thing to come out of this is like that my children weren't able to be turned against me, and like now that they're in homes where they're allowed to reach out to me, that they do. So it's more or less like the guilt.
Yeah.
I have.
Right. That's the guilt that all of us parents have with this stuff. Because why weren't we able to protect our kids? Why do we let them come in and take these kids? Like, why, what could we have done? What could we have done more? I mean, just certainly instead of commending you for being, sober for the 11 years and kicking your habit, they focus on the bullshit of your relapse, which you were open with. And, it's not like you hid it. You went and talked to your husband about it now, and then they seek help. And this is disgusting that they do this stuff to people that are in the system. Now, the Supreme Court has already said that using drugs is no reason to terminate your rights as a parent. It doesn't harbor you. You need to have some sort of a direct action that is involved with your kids. So, like, if just because you're using drugs doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. It doesn't hinder, there's got to be more to it than this. But with your story, there's no more to this. They just, because you volunteered that information, they took it, they ran with it, and they stole your children.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't even think of like a time that we had put. It just seemed like my kids going back to me was like never in the picture. There was like, no plan put in place. It was just instantly, I received the paperwork, and I thought at least my kids are going to remain in the home with my mom. I need to get to treatment and get this straightened out, because I knew like long term she definitely could not handle it.
Right. But you didn't think this would be long term for you either, right?
No, definitely not.
And no one does. When it was my situation, I thought that this was going to be a no-brainer. This is easy. How the hell can this even be real? There's nothing going on. Nothing happened. There was this kid is nothing but loved. We have 2 houses. We have everything's nice, just like you. Nice houses, nice things. You were a part of the damn committees in the school. Doing all of these things. Perfect parent, and then still somehow this corrupt piece of shit up here in the state of Maine find it a reason to come in and steal your freaking kids. It's just sickening. It's just absolutely sickening.
They break you down. Like, you go from being a mom 24/7 to not having your kids, and it's like you don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. You don't know what. And I tell people this all the time, whether they believe me or not, but like, you don't understand if you're, well, I know all of you guys do out there, but if you're listening and you haven't had this happen to you, which God willing, you never do, like, your life ends when they do this. They give you the civil death penalty. When they do this to you, they've just ruined you. Your will to live, your will to do anything more. Like, I'm sure at that point in time, you were gung ho moving forward with your life, wanting to be big, successful business. Like you live your life by what you plan around for your kids. And when they remove their kids from you, you have no more real purpose. You don't feel that way. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, actually, you don't. Once they take your kids from you, and then that was your plan and your way of life, that's it. And I'm stuck in that same boat. Like, what do? I don't plan. I used to be Mr. Planner. What am I doing this weekend? Like, next week I'm going to do this. I'm going to save this amount of money because we're going to do this. We're going to do this and work in the yard. And we'll go. I don't even plan. I don't even think I could tell you the last time I had a plan for anything. I don't look forward to anything. I'm not excited about anything. I don't even think I show any emotion anymore, because them taking your kid is just the end of all. Like, it is. And it's in these situations where you don't do anything, it's the worst feeling in the world, because you have a feeling of guilt that you can never subside because you don't know why you're guilty. The only thing you're guilty of is being a good parent. That's it. And how do you fix that? You can't.
It's like when you don't know your rights, it's so easily, you think cooperating is that you're doing the right thing to try to keep your children, and it ends up backfiring.
Yeah. Doing the right thing with CPS seems more times than not that it's the wrong decision to make. And, had I not made a phone call in our situation, if I had not made this one phone call and told them the truth about something that happened, which they probably never found out about, our daughter would probably still be here with us. But because we decided to be honest about something, about a situation that was at hand, we lost our kid too. So, it definitely sucks. It sucks because you should be able to be a good person. You should be able to seek help. You should be able to get help, and you should still be able to do this all while being a parent. Only 93% of 7% of drug users are the ones that you see on TV, like where they're, sitting outside of a dumpster at Kensington Square and all of this stuff. And I don't agree with that number much anymore, because I can see that, I can see it. You can see it with the tent cities popping up everywhere. But where are the kids? There aren't any kids, because they've taken these kids. These tent cities and all of these things are being built by people that have been harassed and given the death penalty by CPS. There's no doubt in my mind. And until we get a better hang on these things, and these kids aren't taken and they're not being removed, and they're allowing us to be parents and all of this stuff, this is going to get worse and worse and worse. It can't get better. It can't, because there's nothing you can do to replace your child. If your child had passed away, at least you have a mourning process that you get to go through. You get to go through these stages of mourning, and I'm not saying that it's any easier or any of that, by no means. But there is a mourning process that you get to go through, the different emotions, the feelings, happy, sad, all of these things. With this, there's no, because your children are still out there somewhere, and every second of every day you're wondering, what are they thinking? What are they doing? What are they this? What are they that? Is they okay? Are they bleeding? Are they not? Are they eating right? Are they being treated well? And this just goes through your head at all times of every day. But your kids are how old now?
So they're, my daughter's almost 16 and my son's 17.
So you've only got, I say only got, but you got a year until your son comes of the age of 18.
Yeah.
And then he can try to, if he wants to, amends with you. What is your plan for that? Are you going to try to push for them to come be with you when they get to that age? Or are you going to just keep fighting the fight and see where this thing goes?
Well, I'm in constant contact with my daughter, because she's at a home now that believes in that it's very important for the children to at least have the option to be able to speak with their parents. And so I talk to her frequently. I've had a couple of visits with her. And my son, who I haven't spoken a word to in almost 4 years, reached out to me a couple of days ago, reached out to a family member because he wanted to reach out and call me and make contact. So,
And that was promising. That was good, bad. And
yeah,
what did that
I
feel like?
mean, that was good. I feel like I have to, at this point, prepare myself for, my daughter. I don't know. She takes everything with a grain of salt. She's very strong. I feel like my son, I don't know, his baby took on a lot more. Like, and so I just have to prepare myself, whether he's angry or,
He's going to be angry.
I
They're all
wasn't
going to
there.
be angry.
I wasn't able to protect him the way I should have. So
They're all gives their number one. Obviously, you're never going to be. None of us as parents are ever going to be the heroes in the situations. They're going to say whatever they got to say to the kids to make them adhere to their requests. They're going to be pissed, and we talk about this a lot. Is you got to let them just be angry. Don't get mad at them for that.
yeah, no, I can.
You can't
never be.
because wow, that hurts a lot. Thank you. Whew, that took my breath away. You can't let them. You're gonna have to let them, do their thing and be upset and just tell you that they, their side of it, and then once you guys can get through that, the healing stuff will start, and hopefully you're allotted that. I mean, hopefully that is in their plans. I mean, I would think that it would have to be in most of the foster kids or the people that we talk to. That is their.
Come on, kitty. She's a coat in your back.
Yes, there we go. That is their part of their plans. Like the kids want to come home. They want to come home and see their parents. Hitler, you little bastard! I didn't even realize it was you. And it's just a matter of them coming home and them realizing that it's not your fault, and that day will come. But you just have to deal with the shit that goes in with it. Holy smokes. We've got to our time. Wow. Do any of you guys have any questions out there? I think you got everybody out there stumped, Meg. I've not seen this many few writings on the wall in a long time. Everybody just was intrigued by your story because we don't get to have these that often anymore.
Right.
The stories, especially ones like that are just like nothing is wrong. There's nothing that's there's nothing that happened that should have taken place, and that's the way they do it here in the state of Maine. People completely wrong, illegal, bastardized. I mean, they just suck. They really do. They just suck, and they have no care in the world to do that, huh, buddy?
Yeah, it's definitely not about the kids. That's
No.
for sure.
And that's it. The kids are the reason. Look, we're here on this earth to reproduce. That's our job when we're here. And for the state to be able to take away what God has given us the right to do and asked us to do is not right at all. And it's just, this has got to go away. This has got to stop. And we have innocent people in jail. We have kids that, the reports show that, and I always refer to this as the harm of removal study. Everybody should check that out because you see clearly that they shouldn't be removing kids at all because nothing good comes of it. They all end up in worse predicaments and situations than they would have if they would have stayed in their own homes where they were even a little bit or even a major amount of abuse, but the fact that you removed them and broke their security feeling, they'll never get that feeling back for the rest of their life. You've destroyed their safety mechanism, because what CPS does and how people in Congress and higher up places can't figure out that this is a bad thing. I have no idea. But MW, thanks for coming on. Guys, thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned for I think Danielle said that she was going to try to come in and do something. And then tonight we're going to do CPS Victims, a special edition of CPS Victims Hunting Justice. Yeah, I mean, guys, there it was firsthand. You've heard from Maine how things are handled here. And that was the real deal. So, man, oh man, what an awful, awful, awful story. And it's just going to keep on happening until someone does something. Someone's got to do something. So, all right, guys, have a good night. We'll catch you at the 10 o'clock hour.
As I tell you a story, I'm sorry if it seems a bit boring, but these are stories of fathers whose lives are being destroyed way too early. It all started when I opened my mouth, complaining about a stupid mistake. I knew better than to have more to say. I did it anyway. I'm a father and a husband. I'm no longer trusted. They have taken away the things I hold dear, making me realize my biggest fear. The foundation, it has crumbled. Now there is tears where there was muscles. So now I waste away, missing my daughter as she